All right. So, guys,
You're gonna insert the air horn.
yes. Uh, hey, everybody. Welcome to Cup of Comics presents Two Dads, One Comic Guy, and some comic stuff. Today, we're going way back in time. Today, we're going to look at X-Men, the animated series from 1992. To my, on this side, mirror imaging, whatever. I got Eric Webb over there. Yeah. And then below me over here, X-Men, we got Brian Carfee. So, all right, we looked at the first 4 episodes of X-Men, the animated series. So we looked at episodes 1 and 2, which were connected. We looked at episode 3, which introduces Magneto. And then we looked at episode 4, which furthers the Magneto plot in the animated series. But yeah, let's start with episode 1, which was Night of the Sentinels, 2-parter. Throws us right into the deep end, right? We got Jubilee, whose foster parents have put her up for registry with the Mutant Control Agency.
Mutant Control Agency. Yeah.
Yes, Mutant Control Agency. And yeah, let's
like really right on the tin there. Like exactly.
Right?
It's not just like the registration act or anything like that. It's like mutants and we're going to control you.
Right?
Well, the Mutant Registration Act.
Was it?
It was the Mutant Registration Act.
Right, but the agency is the Mutant Control Agency.
Right?
I'm not even gonna pretend that that this isn't some fuckery. Oh, good. All right. Oh, I already dropped an F-bomb. Great.
So yeah, but no, yeah, like you were saying, there's just no like hiding it. Mutant, you need to be controlled. Here's an agency that does it. So overall impressions of the first episode, Eric.
Well, the thing that always gets me is the opening of the show, just in general. It's like the 90st of 90s bullshit with the like the like crazy overdriven guitar and stuff. Like,
it's, by the way, that's gonna be stuck in my head for a month now. Just so
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's fantastic. I think one of the things from like the first like 5 minutes of it is I kind of forgot how much they had whitewashed Jubilee, which kind of sucks. Like they note that she's Chinese American, but she does not look Chinese American, my friends.
No.
Professor X looks more Asian than she does. Like
I was gonna say he
has like a Fu Manchu kind of thing going on with like the eyebrows. I was like,
oh,
what's going on here?
Wait. I was prepared for this. Let's see.
Yeah.
What is that?
Crazy. Like I don't know what is going on there.
What is this? What is happening?
I'll tell you, I honestly, as the less comic experienced guy here, I did not know Jubilee was Chinese American.
Yeah.
Because I only ever encountered her in the series. So, yeah.
Well, if you pay close attention when the Sentinels pull up her file and you see like the heads-up display, it does say Chinese American as part of her breakdown. But that's like as much as you get.
Right. That's the only time you're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Time. There's no backstory to it. Like you literally need to read what's on that screen.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I mean, as an introduction to the characters, I think it does a pretty good job. You know, Jubilee's our window character. We get to see the world through her eyes and kind of trying to discern who these people are, what they're doing, what the conflicts are. So it's pretty standard storytelling, and does a good job. I mean,
I think so too. Yeah.
The Sentinels are dumb as fuck, though.
Right.
like that first, it's like grabbing a dog. Like it's got a scanner that tells it whether it's a mutant or not. It's like, like
the dog got away.
Yeah, the dog like barked at it. It's like, oh shit, sorry. Like,
yeah, but then it reached for the dog and missed.
Yeah, and like grabs like a bed and like, it's like your scanning shit sucks.
My favorite thing is like it just busts through the house. It's like, it's like, ooh, not here. He's
Right.
freaking stepping on cars. I was like, what the fuck? I'm dropping F-bombs too now, sorry. But I'm like, what the heck? Is this guy the freaking Kool-Aid man? Like, Kool-Aid Sentinel? Oh, yeah!
And then like he grabs the bed and just realizes that it's wrong and just be like, oh,
Yeah.
sorry. And, like, backs up. Like, and there's a moment, I don't know if it's in the first episode or the second episode, but there's a moment where Jubilee's like running back to her house,
we
and
already
the Sentinel's
discussed
after her, and there's a Sentinel that's like literally just like up against the building, like, does she see me? And she just runs by. I was like, how did what? It's like a 3-story fucking robot there. Like how you
And he was like in the alley, so he's invisible.
right. He's like, I stand really still. Like yeah, I didn't know the Sentinels are rogues.
Wait,
That was a Dungeons and Dragons joke for you.
hold on. Just in case you don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, you have that moment? Oh yeah, here you go. She's running down. And there he is, right there.
How do you not see?
6-story Sentinel.
Well,
He's like,
he turned his highlights off.
Yeah,
so,
right.
it's up, so she
yeah,
couldn't-
it's like the equivalent of backing your car into the driveway and turn your headlights off. Like, no, I'm not here.
One of the things I noticed the most about the Sentinels too is they ranged in size. Like during certain sequences.
Yeah, there's
They were like-
one that's like 8 feet tall, and then there's one that's 50 feet tall.
Right?
Like,
Like,
there's one scene where Wolverine jumps up behind one, and he's almost as big as it.
Yeah,
right. It's like slightly bigger than Wolverine.
is that the one where he's like, "This one's for you, Morph."
No, it wasn't
The
that one.
worst line ever.
Oh man. All right. So Brian, I'll get anything you want to note about the first episode.
Well, I'll tell you, I was honestly surprised at how developed some of it was in terms of like that they actually refer to a senator and they actually have like the president and they talk about the Registration Act and it seemed a little bit mature for, you know, compared to what when I watched it, I was I guess it was 92. I was 8 years old. So, you know, it seemed like they put a lot of that stuff in there that didn't really land for an 8-year-old, but I didn't expect it. But it was interesting. Made it watchable for an adult. But
Yeah, I think like you're saying, like there's a lot of stuff that when you rewatch it, you're like, oh, like maybe they were ahead of their time.
Yeah, female
Of course.
President.
Right.
female president.
Yeah.
I literally have a note here that says female president.
Yeah, more progressive than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is more like the Jetsons still. Like,
Right.
We're still ways away from.
Although at the same time, still definitely dates itself to the 90s because of Gambit's inappropriateness with when he's buying the deck of cards.
With the
Yeah.
lady. Yeah.
And then he says he likes to play solitaire, and he says, I like solitaire unless I got someone to play with.
Yeah.
But
I
also,
wrote,
who the hell is that girl who's like falling all over him in his full on like I am Gambit like mutant superhero outfit? She's like even by 90s standards, like
Right. The trench coat and the
yeah,
baton.
and day glow pink and like, she's like it's like who the
yeah.
fuck are you?
I totally was watching it and was thinking the same. I was like, I want to be Gambit and have his whatever je ne sais quoi, like his
Jonas, is that the je ne sais quoi that the Jonas Brothers have?
yeah. But yeah, I just want to have what he has, that he can wear that outfit.
Yeah, he gives zero
And-
fucks. Like he's all in. It's great.
And the ladies are fawning over him. They're like, what? I'm like, oh my God, I want to be Gambit.
confidence, I guess.
That somehow he's the one that develops that close relationship with Jubilee.
Uh,
At least early on. You know, keeps calling her petite.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just Gambit's
Oh.
thing.
yeah. Well, he's got that charisma, that Gambit. I've never understood. Like, he is a really popular character. Like, people love him, and I've never understood it. Like, his ears are covered, and he's wearing like a ski thing, but he's like from Louisiana, and his colors are all. I don't know if it's throwing the cards. He's got a staff. Like, he's hitting you with a stick. I don't get it, but he's so popular, and
There's a lot of issues with like the whole Thieves Guild and Assassins Guild stuff in general too. Like if we ever get into the deeper side of things, like the Assassins Guild, the people who are known for being in the shadows and killing people all wear fluorescent pink all of the time. Like, who the hell are you hiding from? Like,
right? They're
Anyway.
picking the worst people to
Yeah.
like assassinate and burglar. Like, so yeah, episode 1, and I think we may have even gotten to episode 2 a little bit there, but episode 1, it sets it up pretty nicely. We get pretty much an entire introduction to the
Yeah,
X-Men.
do you want to tell the people at home what actually happens in any of these episodes? I feel like that's what.
Oh yeah, we should probably discuss.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. But no, so you got Jubilee. It starts off with Jubilee. Like I said, her foster parents put her into that the mutant control agency, register with the mutant control agency. They sent a Sentinel after her, but Jubilee goes to go play a little video games at the parlor. So that's when the whole hilarity with the Mr. Kool-Aid.
Which is one of my favorite
Sentinel.
moments in the entire episode with when she blows up the machine. The guy's like, "Hey, you know how much that costs?" She's like, "Yeah, a quarter."
Order.
Good
And then they're
job,
like,
Jubilee.
"You're one of them," which is a constant thing. Like every time one of them goes somewhere, bar, arcade, the mall, they're like, "It's one of them."
Yep.
Which, I mean, yeah, it brings us to another thing about the X-Men. If you didn't know, hello, they touch on social issues, primarily, say, racism or
Bigotry in general.
bigotry.
In general, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, so just to tighten up the story or to make it a lot quicker, basically the Sentinels end up chasing Jubilee. She happens to be in the mall where just randomly there's some X-Men hanging out. You got Gambit hitting on the ladies and Rogue and Storm are over there shopping. What were they, like at a Rachel secret?
Elizabeth's secret. Yeah, they went with the other member of the royal family.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, they're shopping. They just happen to be there while Jubilee's being chased. And the interesting thing I noticed was you have this private agency that's like tracking mutants, but they have no idea who the X-Men are. Because every time one of those Sentinels see them, they're like unidentified mutant or whatever they say. So X-Men at this point aren't relevant, apparently. And so by the end of the episode, basically Jubilee has been saved by the X-Men from the Sentinels. And then that's where we get that scene where Jubilee does not see the 8-story tall Sentinel. She goes home to check on her foster parents. Surprise, she's ambushed and captured, which then sends us into episode 2.
Wait, I think we just glossed over my actual favorite moment of that episode, which is when
throw it out there.
which is when they assign the task force to go infiltrate the place to get Jubilee back, and Wolverine shows up after he has gone rogue, and he went back to Jubilee's place and apparently had his little encounter with the Sentinels, and his one line is, "I got bit by a dog too." I'm sorry. Why were you tussling with a dog while you're out there, Wolverine? Aren't you supposed to be like
Wolverine? And so dogs don't like cats. I don't know.
It just struck me.
Dogs just don't like him.
Maybe. Anyway, moving on.
But so I did gloss over the very, very ending. So after Jubilee is captured, yes, they do send in the X-Men task force, which I was like, we could have split this into like X-Force series, but it's episode 1, season 1, so no, you can't. but yeah, you got them infiltrated. Basically, they get ambushed by the Sentinels, and stuff happens. Maybe I won't spoil it, but we're going to spoil it when we review episode 2. So if you don't want to know what happens at the end of episode 1, now is the moment to stop.
I was gonna say the actual cliffhanger to the episode is just as shitty as that cliffhanger was. The cliffhanger to that episode is basically Cyclops just going, "I wish I knew what was going on in there." Credits.
So we're going to move on to episode 2. Episode 2, we find out that 2 people have been captured, Morph and Beast, and basically one survived. Beast. I was pausing for dramatic effect, but I think we all knew. So here's the thing about this that blew my mind, right? When you watch the intro, it actually introduces all the characters. and Morph is literally the only person who doesn't show up in the intro. And I was like, why did this never click?
Because
Morph
he was
is
there just to be killed.
exactly. Morph was never going to be a major character.
But he got brought back later.
He does. Season 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I thought I saw a
he's-
clip of him as a zombie in one of the intro reels. Is he
Perhaps.
zombie or half dead or something? What is it?
zombified. He does return in season 2, episode 1. So maybe at some point he's in there. So Wolverine is put down by Rogue at this point. She drains his energy just so they can get out of there, which brings me to one of my favorite moments from the entire series.
Oh, I know the moment.
And I think
the punch heard around the universe.
it's a GIF. If you look for it out there, GIF, however you say it, it's out there. But let us share my favorite moment. Here you got Storm. She's so sad.
I can almost hear it.
All right, there's Jean Grey. All sorts of goodness there. Did you see Gambit in the background? That hot pink. She's like, I'm back. I'm Gambit. So Brian, we'll start with you. You want to talk about this episode?
Well, the first thing that pops into my head is I just realized was Jean Grey in that episode at all, aside from that one moment.
my note for this is literally Jean Grey is just here to feel bad about things. That's all she does is she just is like, oh, she's either crying or she's talking about how upset she is that things are going poorly. Like they give her nothing to do in these first 2 episodes.
Yeah, she just reminds us how bad things are, especially like when Morph dies, and she's like, "Oh, the pain! I don't feel him."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing that threw me, that she could feel it because she had Cerebro on, but the professor couldn't. Like, he's a member of your X-Men team, but you can't tell when he dies? I feel like that's something Xavier should be able to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Cerebro, Jean Grey was like focused in on the group and probably had more of a link, so she probably felt when Morph died. Meanwhile, Professor X was just in the background, like, let me know what's going on. I don't think he was linked in. And then when he finally does try to find Morph, he's dead. So he's not feeling anything at that point. I mean,
I feel like if he were sending a group out on a dangerous mission, he might stay linked. You know, there's like 4.
There's a lot of inconsistency in terms of how they communicate. Like Professor X is very much able to just mind blast everybody, but at one point he just gets on the intercom. It's like, why are you doing that? And the entire premise of the first episode, when they go and invade the center, is that Cyclops doesn't know what's going on and he wishes that he did. And then the second episode, he's like on communicator with Storm, giving orders and getting information. It's like,
couldn't you just?
why don't you just go, bloop, what's going on there?
So you got anything else to add, Brian?
Actually, I realized it wasn't for episode 1; it's for episode 2 that I had the note "female president?" ?
Yeah.
Right.
But aside from that, I mean, that one's just kind of, they're a little ahead of their time there. But they didn't also then talk about how terrible a job she was doing. So that's pretty on brand for America. But no, the only thing I had was surprised that they would kill off a character on a kid's show so quickly. Like, actually kill, not just disappear and send him off to a farm upstate. But
I do remember animated movies used to be very very upsetting or visual in terms of like death and stuff, like Transformers or G.I. Joe. Like those were like very brutal to watch as kids, but actually like a televised, like an after school cartoon, like killing characters off was like, ooh. Though now in theory, these rights are owned by Disney and they just kill off people left and right. So like any animated film, so this fits right with their motif.
There's an episode of the show Community where they do like a G.I. Joe bit where all the characters end up as G.I. Joe characters. And it's like, in somebody's drugged up delusional mind. But he kills the bad guy, Destro. That's what's his name? Yeah.
Destro.
And then like kills somebody else, and then everybody freaks out, and then the Cobra Commander and the GI Joes all team up to go after the guy as a terrorist who just killed somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing in the cartoon, not to get off track here, G.I. Joe, but there's so many lasers going by and like nobody ever gets shot. And then you have one movie and everybody gets shot. Like, well, not everybody.
Well, it's also interesting, like, how many times in the first 2 episodes did Cyclops and Storm and Rogue all get hit with lasers, but Morph gets hit once and dead.
Just done.
Totally dead. They all got up and didn't even have a hole in their costume.
Right. Well, yeah, Gambit in the mall gets thrown like clear across the mall into like a convertible car.
Yeah.
And he lays there and he's like, ugh, and he's like, run, girl. But he lived. Like, that was that would mess most people up. Like, he should have legit like spinal issues, but he gets up and starts throwing cards again. Inconsistencies. It's not real. No, it's a cartoon. Come on, guys. All right. Eric, anything you want to say about this?
I mean, as progressive as they were with the female president, the one thing that's good to know remains constant is that if you need a shitty warehouse to make your shitty Sentinels, of course it's going to be in Detroit.
Yes.
It's like the one like location indicator they had in the episode. It's like secret lair. Detroit. Well done, guys. Well done.
Well, they're building Sentinels out of old car parts. So.
Right, yeah. That's what actually happened to the automobile industry.
I sense a bailout coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of odd inconsistencies. Like with Wolverine getting all morose about Morph going down. And yet he knows that Beast is alive and doesn't do dick about it. He goes to a bar and gets in a tussle with some locals. Like, if you're so upset about it, why aren't you out there, like, wreaking vengeance and getting Beast out of there? Like, they just forget about Beast after halfway through the episode. And we're like, oh, okay. Guess we're done with that plot point for a little bit.
My favorite, I guess, scene is when in the bar is when the Cyclops shows up to save Wolverine. And then he's like, you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses. And then the guy's like, maybe I would or whatever. And like hits him and the glasses fall off. And he's like, take him back. Because Cyclops is just eye blasting everything in the bar. Later on when Rogue like sucks some of his ability, she starts eye blasting things. And he's just like, close your eyes. And I was like, why didn't you just close your eyes in the bar? Like, come on.
Also, like when crazy blasts start coming out of your eyes, isn't that like the first impulse you have is to shut them?
Right? Shut them, get some eye drops, do something. Right? All right. So, yeah, episode 2, basically they're dealing with the ramifications of what happened. What's his name? Gyrick goes to visit the president. President's working out. She's like, you need to stop your little private program.
Be clear, by president's working out, she's on a treadmill.
Yeah. Was it like
she's on a stationary bike?
Or yes, stationary.
Was it a bike? I thought it was a treadmill.
I think it was a bike.
Yeah.
But she's not like pumping iron or anything.
No, she's getting her cardio in. We're dealing with the ramifications of what happened in episode 1 with the death of Morph, the capture of Beast.
And this time they capture Jubilee because they go after her.
Right.
The Sentinels pick her back up in order to smoke the X-Men out so they can try and take them down. And then they go off and head to Detroit to take out the Sentinels and rescue Jubilee.
I mean, that's basically just surmises the whole thing. They obviously the rescue happens, and
they fight
we're off to
Sentinels
episode
of different sizes.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. Wolverine gets a little revenge. He's like,
for you, Morph.
There you go. Brian, you were gonna say something?
They get completely overwhelmed by the Sentinels when they're out at the trying to rescue Beast. No, when Beast and when Morph dies and Beast gets captured. But then all of a sudden, even with fewer X-Men, against more Sentinels, they just take them all out. And
Yeah. I
They
think
got
it
the
was
berserker rage going. That's
exactly.
definitely true. There is something interesting about episode 2. This is nerdy, just narrative talk. It's actually interesting to note that they don't tell the whole Death of Morph thing continuously. They jump us ahead. They have everybody coming back on the Blackbird to the mansion, and then flip us back to go see what happened in the interim, which is surprising given the audience. It's fairly complex storytelling
Yeah.
for a show that's meant for 8-year-olds.
Right. Yeah. Again, ahead of its time.
Yeah.
X-Men, the animated series. So it kind of brings us to episode 3. Basically, Magneto's trying to break Beast out of prison, and Beast is like, "Nah, man, got to read my Animal Farm. Got to stay here. Got to go on trial." He's like, "This is going to be something that justifies what we did to the American people. I need to stay here, face the music, and this will be something that unifies us." And Magneto does as much as he can to get him out of there. Doesn't want to go, and he's like, "Peace out." Magneto pieces out. So thoughts on episode 3, Eric?
There's a lot of strange things going on. I don't know, maybe I'll just run down my notes.
Do it.
I mean, my favorite moment is like when Magneto really starts bringing the shit to the to the prison. There's the one random guard that's left behind outside of Beast's cell, and his response is, "Oh, why me?" like this is like the 10th time this week this has happened.
Not again.
Also, Magneto, the big, most powerful, like ultimate level mutant in the world, who's like tearing this place down brick by brick. The first thing that he does to a human is he pantses him.
That's right.
That? He just like rips his belt off and drops his trow. Like, that's an interesting maneuver.
He's like, "Yeah, humans must be exterminated. Took your pants,
Yeah.
took your belt."
I'm not gonna jump too far beyond the prison there, but so that's what I got there. Also, where the fuck is Magneto from? Because that accent's a little
Right.
I don't know what that is, but and I don't think when they go into the exposition that they actually ever state a country. It just Xavier just says,
They just say a war-torn country.
yeah, a war-torn country.
They
So
work-
they bailed on the idea of pinpointing him as being a survivor of World War II or any of that stuff. So
Brian, any thoughts?
Yeah. So again, from the guy who reads fewer comics, his name is Magnus.
yeah, Eric Magnus Lemcher. It's his middle name, but sure.
Okay.
So
that-
yeah, they said that his name's
I
Magnus.
thought his name was Eric, but sure, Magnus. That works with magnets. Yeah. Also, his ability to control magnetic fields somehow also lets him just throw whatever, anything. Like he seems to control and just destroy like everything. Like,
Yes, magnetism is the solution for everything in the X universe. Like Magneto can pretty much do whatever the fuck he wants because magnets. Because nobody actually knows what magnets do, so therefore they do everything.
To be fair, as an 8-year-old, I did not, and I probably did not level this criticism as an 8-year-old. But, yeah, I did appreciate that he had 2 different styles of magnet. He has the big globe where he had like the blue lightning around him, and then he has like the yellow rings that are his attack magnets.
Right.
Right. The defense magnets and the attack magnets.
Exactly. So that kind of cracked me up. And then it can deflect lasers. That was the thing that got me.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, he sets up a magnetic
Ma-
field.
magnets are well known for their ability to deflect light. Although there's probably some like astrophysicist that's watching this who's like, actually,
Nice.
I really wondered where Beast got his copy of Animal Farm from. Like,
I want to know where he got his copy of Crime and Punishment from in the fucking trial.
All right.
They like end that trial. He whips that bitch out. He's like, well, guess I got some time to read.
Right.
I mean, at that point, maybe he got it from his lawyer, who's sitting right next to him. But in the jail, like, I don't think that maybe they brought it to him as a joke. he is a beast and all that.
Yeah. Or maybe they're just trying to say something.
But I was going to say, Eric, you said earlier on about Wolverine not going to rescue Beast. I was going to say, but I didn't want to get into episode 3, that Professor X's whole thing was that Beast had to stay there and actually go through trial. So maybe he already got to Wolverine.
Did I miss that actually get set up? Because I don't recall that from episode 2. And in episode 3, it's suddenly a thing that they decided. I think they just forgot that Beast was there and then retconned a reason into that episode.
Like, oh no, Professor X said.
Yeah.
Or they had it in the setup scene, but then realized they needed to be 22 minutes and had to cut it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's written into that whole first dialogue between Beast and Magneto, where he's like, yeah, Professor X said I have to stay here for the trial, whatever.
Right.
And he's like, Charles said?
Let us fill you in on the shit that we didn't actually write into the last episode.
We never thought this was going to make it past episode 2, guys.
Yeah.
So, what I do want to point out is during that whole first, like, Magneto trying to break Beast out of the scene, there's a part where he's, like, crushing the tanks, and you literally see the guys, like, somehow, like, just teleport through the tank and jump out. There's like 2 guys in that first tank.
Yeah.
Then there's only like 1 guy in the second tank when he rips it apart. And I was like, ooh, either somebody else got ripped with the tank, or that tank driver's actually really good at firing and driving a tank at the same time.
Well, there's also the one guy who gets like the comedy treatment where it gets lifted up out of it and then gets torn out and just everything's gone except for the helmet. It's like, that was a surprisingly whimsical moment for this.
But with all that, like, guys escaping, I'm pretty sure, I mean, I may just cue it up, but I'm pretty sure there's a part in that 3rd episode where he just crashes a plane. And you don't see anybody jump out of that plane. Like, I'm like, Magneto just killed some people. Like, he, like, throws a plane into a building. And, yeah, let me see if I can cue it up.
I was going to say, I don't remember any planes. Maybe it was a helicopter. But
Maybe it was a helicopter. I'm thinking it's a helicopter now. But, it was definitely something flying, and he literally...
It was a duck.
Let's see.
It's
Yeah,
magnets.
right?
ducks are magnetic.
Yeah, it's a little known.
There's some of that blue stuff. There's some of that X shield there. What else we got? Shooting some lasers.
The yellow attack magnetism.
Oh, yeah. The attack magnets. There's the tank getting crushed. I think this is that comedic moment. Yeah. All right.
Here he is. Whoa!
Oh, here it is. Helicopters, guys. Yep. Oh, he
Oh,
just.
no, they parachuted out. It was really quick, but there was definitely like a
Oh, we're going back to the rewind.
Bottom left.
Yep,
Oh,
there it
you
is.
go.
I saw the yeah, I saw the parachute. All right. I'm glad we can clear that up, guys.
So still only 1 death. Okay.
All right. Still.
Morph was really, really fragile. Is what we're saying.
Episode 3 definitely introduces us to one of the greatest X-Men villains there is, Magneto. And later on, I believe we get Sabretooth. We get Sabretooth in this one, don't we?
Because he busts into the trial.
That's right. All right.
Oh, yeah, that's somebody's brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like the main guy from 18. Why are we watching this?
We're trying to see Sabretooth break in. Let's go forward a little bit. There we go.
Also, I just want to point out that the Beast's lawyer's name in this is Hodge. And he has the big fucking glasses. Is that supposed to be Cameron Hodge?
Good
Like
question.
crazy Cameron Hodge who winds up destroying millions of lives. Cameron Hodge.
Who that is?
Oh, there's Wolverine in the crowd. All right. And to the upper right corner, we've got Blondie McBlonster. Don't know why I called her that. there's some Cyclops. Oh, now that's just wrong. That guard.
How is he strong enough to knock Beast over? He's
Good
like,
question.
Got supreme balance.
No idea, but we'll pretend he just caught him off guard. And there we go, Sabretooth.
Sabretooth, who has like he doesn't have a six pack. He has like a case.
Right?
Look at all those abs. He's like
And
95% ab.
Yeah. He's got back abs.
Yeah.
Did you point
Look at that.
out? Like, he's got
That
abs on
looks like
abs.
Gremlins.
He does have very small like side hip muscles though, right there. I don't know what you'd call that, but look at that. That's an ab on an ab on an ab on an ab on top of more
Yeah.
abs.
But no genitals.
No. And yeah. Anyway, they save him. He ends up being taken back to the X-Men's lair or the mansion. And yeah, they try to save him in the same way that they relate it to the same way they saved Wolverine. Just turns out that Sabretooth is a super shitty person, and there is no saving the Sabretooth.
My favorite part about the whole thing is Wolverine is up in arms about what a beast Sabretooth is and how he's not worth saving. And at one point he tries to take away and just starts wheeling the bed out of the room. He's like, I'm going to take him back now.
He's like, we're leaving. While he's wheeling him out.
Okay. All right, Wolverine. Calm it down.
Yeah, Wolverine. Because right before that, he like pops his claws, and you're thinking like, oh shit, he's gonna stab the shit out of him. But he just cuts the lines to the bed and starts
Just wheel
taking him
him
away.
out.
And then I guess towards the end of episode 3 is when we get Magneto launching some nuclear warheads.
Yes.
Also, I want to point out, what is wrong with Wolverine's healing factor? He ends up being hospitalized, Wolverine?
I didn't see that, so that might be episode 5.
All right. Well, anyway, I just think he's definitely under. One of the notes I have is that his healing factor is definitely underpowered. It's probably episode 4.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, no, it's
like-
after. Isn't it after he gets in the fight? Yeah. Well, I mean, his healing power over the years got so OP'd that like it's kind of refreshing to have him actually feel something.
Right. Right. Because yeah, I mean, I've seen the guy get.
The motherfucker has like survived nuclear explosions and come back. Like,
Didn't he get like blown up at the beginning of Civil War or something? And
yes.
Nitro, whatever, blows him up, and then he just like somehow his skeleton just like reforms itself, and he grows back into Wolverine. Yeah, but that's pretty much the episode 3 summation. So we'll go to we got the nuclear warheads launched, and so that brings us to episode 4, which is
Well, Storm takes out the missiles in
Right.
that episode because apparently Cerebro knows about missile tech and can beam it straight into Storm's brain.
yes.
So
How did
that
I
she can rewire those things.
totally glossed over that? But yeah, yeah. Professor X is like, I got this download for you from Cerebro, and just like uploads.
Yeah, there's like some Matrix shit going on here.
And basically, what does she just create some vortexes or whatever, and like
She
steers
like
them towards the water?
fries the right circuit, and yeah, it goes
Yeah.
goes into the water. And then she she's completely drained. She falls to the ground. Wolverine gets her up, and Cyclops comes running over, and he's able to deadpan when Cyclops asks if she's okay. He's like, "Must be our company. She's asleep." Like that. Now is not the time, Wolverine. Like, she needs a doctor.
That is one thing I will say about the dialogue throughout the first 4 episodes and deep into the series is that they are constantly trying to one-up each other with lines. And I want to know if that's just a thing that was actually in the script, or if all these voice actors were like, let's throw as many of these like one-liners or like responses, like joke responses, into the series as possible.
It's one of those things where that don't translate from the comics as well to the animated deal. Like the quipping, it always hops out as being like really really big reaches, whereas I feel like I'm far more forgiving of it in the actual print form.
Yeah.
I like it. You can't hear how stupid it sounds.
Or it just sounds cooler when you like contextualize it for yourself, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I can't remember what the actual quote was, but one of my notes from the first episode was that Cyclops had a one-liner that was absolute garbage. I
Yeah. I think he had one in like the parking lot of the mall against the Sentinel. I think that was a particularly big groaner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the essence of time, I guess let's just quickly surmise episode 4. So basically, Magneto wants to meet up with Professor X. So he goes about destroying a chemical plant to draw Professor X out. Obviously, it hasn't worked in the past. Like, Professor X is just sending his X-Men out. So he just sends the X-Men out again. But he does eventually, I believe, show up at the end of this episode. So basically, this episode is totally about Magneto just trying to get a face-to-face with Professor X in any way he can. We could start with you, Brian.
Yeah. I thought it was actually pretty surprising they had Professor X admit he was wrong at the end of the episode.
Right.
Basically about Sabretooth, and Wolverine calls him out point blank and says, like, it's okay for us to go after your ex-enemy, and when
That's
it's
true.
mine, we got to play nice. And then Professor X just at the end, oh yeah, my bad, I was pretty dumb about that.
Wolverine has been wanting to shank Sabretooth for a while, and Professor X is like, no, stop it. But then, yeah, later on, he's like, yeah, you should have shanked him.
Yeah.
And Eric, anything you want to point out?
I mean, unrelated to the Magneto stuff, but I actually really thought that the opening sequence of the psychic plane exploration of Sabretooth's mind was actually surprisingly really well done. I went for that journey. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's actually, that was one of those things that I worried about in animation, whether or not that would fly as well, and it worked for me. I was surprised.
Yeah, it was actually pretty refreshing, different. What I will say about this episode is there is a cameo by Deadpool, as well as many other characters.
Yeah, Maverick's in there, and I forget who else.
Yeah,
the first episode had some cameos too. There's a quick like blinking and miss pan of some TV screens. You see Domino and Cannonball and Magneto in the screens.
Right. Yeah, and Sabretooth is also, I believe, in episode 1.
Yeah, he's like in the newsreel.
Yeah, throwing a car or something. But yeah, if you look at little things that are happening on the screens and the computer screens and the news broadcasts, there's a lot of cameos. A lot of guys are showing up, which is cool. And as you continue with the series, obviously guys and people start showing up. There's more characters showing up and all that other stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much the first 4 episodes. A lot there to digest. A lot of cameos in there. A lot of just societal issues being brought up there. A lot of politics in there. A lot of stuff that when you're a kid, you're just like, ooh, lasers, and ooh, claws, metal claws. And then you rewatch it, and you're like, oh, they were saying a lot of stuff back then. Yeah, that's all I got to say about it. What about you guys? You guys want to add anything?
No,
yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to agree. The political and the subliminal cultural messages were not picked up back then. They're appreciated now, but yeah, that works.
I think they have 2 really great villains to throw at us in the first 4 episodes. You get Sabretooth, which is a good foil for Wolverine, and you got Magneto, who's Professor X's. And you got the Sentinels, right? The whole Sentinel program and the Mutant Registration Act.
Yeah, there's a lot to that gets thrown at you in the first few episodes, and I think they do a fairly good job of forging their own path with things while also clearly nodding to stuff in the books. Like episode 3 is basically the first issue of Uncanny, just slightly adapted, with the taking over the missile command and all that stuff, and trying to smoke out Xavier and whatnot. But they do a good job of sort of making it their own while still making it accessible. So that's surprising, and it's one of those shows that I feel like actually aged fairly well. It's still some real cheeseball shit in there. There's and a lot of like continuity errors and stuff. Like in the last episode there, like Professor X's like big climactic psychic whammy on Magneto happens while he's wearing his helmet, and literally the only reason Magneto wears a helmet is so that Xavier can't do that.
Right.
So it's like, it's stuff like that where you're like,
You got to take, you definitely got to take a lot of stuff that's happening with the grain of salt. Like
Yeah.
if you're a hardcore subscriber to the X-Men comics, especially the original like first series volume, you're gonna find some stuff in here that might irk you. But overall, I think they did a really good job. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff to digest. Eric, I believe you had some stuff to show us for today's episode. A little show and tell.
Oh
action.
yeah, just a couple of like little bullshit things that just happened to be thematically linked up that came in my mailbox while between these issues. I'm gonna trust that the company's gonna pull up some glossy high-res JPEGs to help out, but can't tell you if you see here.
Okay, yeah, Jubilee. Number
Marvel
one.
Age 1 Jubilee. I don't know if you can see, but written by one Robert Kirkman, of all weird people to be writing about a teenage girl in
Nice.
America. I don't know what's exactly happening with the body part here. There's some spinal issues that Jubilee seems to be trying to work out.
Little concave.
But what's actually awesome in contrast to the animated series, what's actually really great about this book, it's an all ages book, but it also, she is definitively Chinese American. Like there's no bones about it. Like they really do a great job of having some nice representation there. And surprising for somebody who wrote The Walking Dead and Die, Kirkman actually writes a pretty decent teenage girl. So not bad. I didn't read any further than the first issue, but I'm actually kind of intrigued. I kind of want to go back and read some more of it. The other thing I got was X-Men Forever.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone knows that one. But fits in with this animated series because this is Claremont coming back to the X-Men book in 2009, and essentially taking up where he left off from the 91 series, because he left after issue 3. And so basically this starts right around the time that this animated series came out, picks up from that continuity and basically pretends that everything that came after it didn't happen. Which is kind of interesting, being able to go back and see what Claremont might have done if he still had the reins of that book. And interesting also, we're talking about Wolverine and his overpowered healing powers. Claremont like pulls no punches in this and lets death actually be deaths. Like, spoiler alert, Wolverine bites it and he's dead. Like obliterated, dead, not coming back, and
Oof.
the rest of the series is them dealing with this. I got through the first 5 issues, and it's surprisingly good. Takes some surprising turns, and it's kind of fun to dip back into the nostalgia of the 90s X-Men milieu. So
Wow.
that's what I have. It's just fun.
Sweet.
Just happened to show up.
I happened to find my X-Men Adventures #1, which is based on the animated series.
Yeah.
And
They went off the rails though, didn't they? They started off serializing the animated series and then just started doing their own shit.
started doing their own. But the issue 1 says explosive action from the hit TV series. So
Right.
before they went off the rails, there was that. All right. So one last thing before we go, we're gonna have a little tete-a-tete with you guys right now. Throw a image up there. We're gonna call this little segment "Get a Real Job," and you guys are gonna tell me what real job these guys would have if superheroes were not a thing. So,
So we have to pretend that that whoever this is doesn't have superpowers, so that they have that they have powers,
yes,
but there's no such thing as
there's no
being
such thing
a
as
professional superhero.
exactly.
Gotcha.
They have the same attributes, just there's no such thing as a superhero.
Okay. You know that my answer for all of them is gonna be porn star, right?
Go. That's all right. I am down with that. So no surprise. First one is Wolverine. All right, Eric.
Lawn care.
I was gonna say a butcher seems pretty.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Well,
I concede the point to Brian.
ding. Point for Brian. All right. Moving
I
on.
just said it looks like he's like whacking some weeds in that.
I will
pose.
say, I think lawn care is a much more entertaining option. Though.
I think it would be more fun to watch him having to pull some forsythia.
Very lizard hands
Yeah.
All right.
and topiary.
Moving on to number 2, the Beast. All right, Brian, you can lead this one off. Get a real job. What's his job?
They gotta steal Eric's porn star.
All right.
Gotta get the niche market there.
Yeah. Man, what would Beast be? The new CEO of Hair Club for Men.
You're definitely going to sell a lot of hair product with that one. Honestly, I don't know. I'd like to see what Beast is working with. Brian, you get the point.
Damn.
I would have went with grocery stock boy. Reaching those top shelves would be no problem for the Beast. But I probably would have still lost this category. All right. Last but not least, I thought this might be the hardest, but maybe
I'm taking half a point from Brian because he took my answer.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right.
So we're still tied.
This is the tiebreaker.
You're still tied. Tiebreaker either way, but it's either you get demolished. All right.
Who picks?
Professor X. Eric, why don't you start off with this with Professor X? Get a real job.
Shit. Professor X, a really well-known telepath, famous bald person. Well, not the spokesman for the Hair Club for Men. I'm gonna say that he would make a really good.
Remember, he still has his powers.
I know, yeah. I'm trying to think of what a
But he is still
non-obvious
wheelchair
answer would
bound.
be for a telepath.
He is still they're bound though.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind him being the head of the CIA.
All right, clandestine. All right.
In spite of the wheelchair, I'm gonna go with bartender.
Because he inherently knows what you want.
Yes, not that I think he'd be good at it. I want him to be my bartender.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the same. Like I think he would be a good porn star because I mean that's what you want.
That's what you want. I'm going to give the point to Webb because most of the bars I go to have high tops, and even though he'd be a great conversationalist, I would not be able to see my bartender.
Ableism at its finest. Well done here.
Since Eric had half a point for stealing your point back then, it's going to be 1.5 to 1.5. So I believe it is a tie, fellas. Because we're going to give Brian 1 point. We're going to give each of you a half point for the second one, and Eric gets a point for the last one.
Sure. Great.
All right. No clear winner in this one. How anticlimactic to end the show. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, people who tune in to this episode, for being here. 2 dads, 1 comic guy, and some comic stuff where we covered X-Men the Animated Series. All right, guys. Say bye.
Peace.